Here's what Robert McKee, a screenwriting guru, said about this book. As I closed The War of Art, I felt a surge of positive calm. I now know I can win this war, and if I can, so can you. This is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and on this video, I'll be giving a personal take about my experience reading the book and what I think you could benefit from reading this book. Hey, my name is Kamga and I'm a creative. On this channel, I talk about three main topics: the creative life, my point of view as an immigrant currently living in the US, and books and things. One of my favorite things to do in this whole world is to consume the kind of content that enriches and encourages me or educates me on my path as a creative, as a writer. A couple of weeks ago, months ago, time ago, when I moved to the US, I actually won The War of Art and The Heart to Start as a giveaway by David Cadavi. The reason why it's difficult for me to separate those two books in my mind is because they almost seem like companion books. One enriches you to understand and use the other one better, and the other one pulls you in a direction where the other had pointed. Like, it's just a mix of like two books helping you figure out your whole creative and writing things. So in The War of Art, which is probably my second Steven Pressfield book because he's written a bunch of books, like non-fiction, fiction, and I have only read Do the Work, which is another non-fiction book about creativity. The War of Art is one of those books that almost everybody who is a creative has probably come across at some point. It's not a very long book, but 160 pages, 165 pages. And the beautiful thing about this book is that chapters are really short. Like, some chapters are just single paragraphs, but the whole no punches. Steven holds no punches. It's like Seth Godin in a different format, where he could write a single line and then communicate like so much information. Let me show you. This is a paragraph taken randomly from page 84. A professional dedicates himself to mastering technique. This is one chapter in the book. The professional respects his craft. He does not consider himself superior to it. He recognizes the contributions of those who have gone before him. He apprentices himself to them. I actually underlined this particular line I'm about to read right now. I thought it was awesome. The professional dedicates himself to mastering technique, not because he believes technique is a substitute for inspiration, but because he wants to be in possession of the full arsenal of skills when inspiration does come. The big idea about this book that almost everybody who has read and who has written about it talks about is resistance, and Steven Pressfield defines resistance as, and it starts with the intro, what I know. It's titled, "There's a secret that real writers know that wannabe writers don't, and the secret is this: it's not the writing part that's hard. What's hard is sitting down to write. What keeps us from sitting down is resistance." He then goes on to actually give us all these characteristics of resistance and all these ways resistance could manifest itself. And as I was reading the book, I was like, whoa, this is real. I've faced resistance so many times in my life, and I don't even know how I was able to overcome it. And wow, the saddest part, I don't know if it's sad or it's empowering part, is resistance actually never goes away. When you turn pro, as Steven Pressfield advises you to if you want to do the work that only you can do, when you turn pro, you simply acknowledge resistance and build a way to work with resistance, because it's not going anywhere. Resistance would always be there. Even the best performers, the best comedians always have to throw or feel the heebie-jeebies before their performances, and these are people who've been performing for decades. Everybody who starts writing a book always has to start from the first page with the first word, and there's always a sense of dread. There is no way you can run away from resistance. But if you don't know that it exists, if you don't know that there's actually a way out of it, which is what he proposes in the book about turning pro, you find it very difficult to do the work that you're supposed to do. The lines in the book were really mind-boggling. That's not even a word. I felt like he selected his words very carefully and communicated his message succinctly. He was able to actually say what he wanted to say in a way that made me stop and think. Like, I found myself underlining the whole book. Look at this part. It's at page 101. No mystery. There is no mystery in turning pro. It's a decision brought out by an act of will. We make up our mind to view ourselves as pros, and we do it. Simple as that. By the way, that's one chapter called No Mystery. It's broken down into three books. Book one is Resistance. He defines what resistance is all about. He gives you the characteristics of resistance. He actually allows you to be able to see what parts of your life have been stopping you from doing the work that you want to do. And I think that it's an eye-opener about the things that you might feel were natural or unnatural, and you realize that it's just normal. That if you're going to do anything that is important, you will face resistance. It's just part of the job description. Book 2 obviously continues with combating resistance, where he provides ideas on how you could do that. For example, a professional is patient. Like, he talks about patience, and a lot of times when I read his books, I keep thinking that once you've picked up like the main ideas behind a lot of books, you almost don't need to read any books anymore. I feel like people just write what they've understood in a voice that is unique to them, and the original part of the ideas are the people themselves and their personal spin to the stories or to the themes or to the ideas. And there's almost nothing new under the sun. I just feel like many books mean the same thing, and if you're lucky enough to find a writer that tells you something that you needed to hear at that particular time in a voice that it actually accommodates to you, then you should always listen to it. That's why I read a lot. I always try to find people that say things in a way that works for me. And when it comes to writing and creativity, I've always found that people who've done what I want to do, people who are on the path that I would like to be on, are the ones that I tend to listen to the most, or people that I admire, or online mentors and people like that. You steal from these people in a way that gives them back respect. Like, you make sure you mention them. Hopefully I'll do a review of Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, so you're able to see how to actually steal like an artist. A lot of these people quote the people they've taken from. They talk about the books, the paraphrase. Although the ideas are from them, they do not ignore the people who came before them, which is a good thing about starting or turning pro. In book 3, Steven completes with beyond resistance. The first part is resistance, the middle part is combating resistance, and then now you've fought resistance. Now what? You've turned pro. What do you do now? This chapter on page 122 almost reminds me of The Hard to Start, where he says the magic of making a start, which is why I just can't think about this book without thinking about The Hard to Start. It's like they're linked in my head and I just don't know what to do. So here's the quote from the book, The Magic of Making a Start. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would not otherwise have occurred. Similar to what David Kadavi talked about beginning to start, where he says you have to start in order to get the profits of starting. I'm sure I've botched that quote. Something about, in order to gain momentum, you have to pick up. It's like the compound effect, Darren Hardy. In order to get to a point where you can actually benefit from your own hard work, you need to start doing the work. And once you start, providence comes to your help. You find the courage to start, and then everything else I needed to continue finds its way to you. All sorts of things occur to help one that would not otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decisions, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man would have dreamed would come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Couplets, I think. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power in it. Begin it now. So it's actually from W.H. Murray, The Scottish Himalayan Expedition. It's a quote. Okay, I don't know if he took it from the book. Oh, basically, it's in the book. Find it. Interesting enough, it reminds me of The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which is the story of the Andalusian boy Santiago who's taking his ship across. And no spoilers, you've probably heard the book or read it. You should find it and read it. I think The Alchemist is one of those books that actually give creatives the kind of mindset where they want to go on a journey to do things that they really enjoy to do and they find it hard to do, and they have to have faith to do it. And The War of Art provides you with tools to fight resistance, because resistance would find you. No matter what you're doing, whether you're writing a book, starting a business, trying to be a better person, you will find resistance, whether it's in your environment, whether it's internally. There's always going to be this negative force that finds its way to stop you from doing what you need to do. And the only way you beat resistance is by turning pro. You need to recognize it exists, you need to find ways to actually face it and use it to your advantage. And by turning pro, you learn to be patient, you learn to carry out the activities of pros. And that's what this book is about. The War of Art is about how to fight for your art to leave your heart to the world. And Steven Pressfield did a great job with it. I think this is a great book for creatives. I loved it. I would recommend it any day. I think anybody should have this in their library, whether you're a creative or not. If you've ever faced resistance, you will recognize it in here, and you would love Steven Pressfield for actually capturing the essence of it all. So that was it for my review of The War of Art, and I hope you liked it. I liked it. We did. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this book, and if you've read it, like, what was your favorite chapter in it? What did you like about the book? Have you used the principles to fight resistance? Has it been actually fruitful for you, or has it not? Because I'm actually looking forward to getting ideas that are opposing to mine. Maybe this book discouraged you from actually starting something. Let me know in the comment section. I do weekly videos, so make sure you subscribe and hit on the notification buttons, like the bell thingy. Click on the bell so that whenever I post a video, you'll be able to get it. You can connect on other social media platforms. All my links are below, and I have links to actually text review of The War of Art that you can read on my Medium profile. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.